Mr. Machine looks and sounds like an ordinary ad about a robotic toy for kids from the 60s, but there's more to it than that. It starts off back when it first came on sale in the early 1960s. It was very popular and was regularly advertised on TV, with the news spreading about this new clockwork maneuvering robot for more customers to buy the stock. The once popular children's mechanical toy originally manufactured by the Ideal Toy Company in the 1960s. Mr. Machine was designed by Marvin Glass, the toy designer, and was known for creating many 1960s and 70s toys. Mr. Glass worked so hard creating toys that his wife said he was like a machine when he thought up the idea of making the robot, naming it Mr. Machine. When Marvin finished his newly invented design, he created it so well it actually resembled his own personality and was controlled with a wind-up key. Kids loved the toy, greeting them with a hello and how about tea, just like Marvin would say. They also liked the alarm it could let off. The only thing wrong with it was Marvin was also a bit of a twisted guy with an outrageous temper, and if the kids treated the toy wrongly by holding it in an awkward position or saying something nasty, Mr. Machine would shout at the kid that was playing with it, as well as physically abusing it by lashing at the kid with its hand if it was pushed far enough, like the thing actually had human feelings. No one really knew about the creator's social problems or how it would transfer to the robot until the robot would start acting differently from nice to odd. The aggressive change startled the kids and made the parents nervous about how the robot was talking and treating the children. Most people after a while had the same complaints about the toy becoming violent, showing bruising on their bodies. A few parents made complaints towards the advertisement and creating company of toy making factory. Some children would even bleed and say how the robot would use curse words at them. There was one ad called The Machine is Running, where they advertised about bringing a new upgraded version of it in the 1980s, making it better quality and cut out all the cruel behaviour. One lady bought the robot as a Christmas present for her son and was surprised when the son told her how this one was much better and friendly and would be best friends with his new toy. He even named it Bobby. Bobby looked identical to the original toy as the upgraded version, but this time was created by a man named Jack Durbin, using the same quality, but instead wasn't too aggressive. This new model was a true child's friend and a great toy for all the kids to own. Years before the new robot came out, just a few months after he created the original version, the original creator, Marvin Glass, was later charged with and arrested with aggravated assault as complaints were made towards him. The local paper had a picture of Marvin and his robot with the title, "Creator Creates an Ideal Son." As for Jack, he was on the opposite side, being famously known for creating something child-friendly and loved by many children. He didn't even change the name, as he liked Mr. Machine, and other people wanted the name to stay the same, even if it brought back memories of past abuse. The toy was more popular than the first model invented by Glass when it was first released. Not many people had the first make anymore, and nearly all families had at least one of the new version of the toy in their house. The following year, Jack later died of a heart attack, and the toy wasn't upgraded again as everyone felt it was good enough how it was. The toy was still the same kind friend to a child from then on. The robot remained kind and curious towards the kids, but then again, like the old model, they all started acting a little differently, starting from a cracking voice that sometimes started or a beeping noise from the alarm going off without winding up the robot. The strange thing is, like I said, this happened to all of them, And not only that, but the exact same time as each other, as if they are programmed to do so after months of normal behavior. Anyway, they were all happy automatics and not the same evil as old producers. No one back then knew why they were changing, but as long as they were still child friendly. Some people were a bit anxious that the sudden change would make them act as the original ones created by Marvin. One night, Bobby the robot owned by Thomas normally left it in the study where he slept, managed to open his door and enter his room, staring at him with that irregular grin when he woke to find it. These remarkable toys were so lifelike, people almost thought each and every one of their souls were possessed by Jack, and it was as if they felt human emotions towards their owners, like love and close relation. They were really just a well-programmed metal toy, and oddly enough, seemed to sense other people's feelings as well. At one stage, Bobby seemed to be jealous when he was once again kept in the study and returned the second time to see Thomas sleeping with a teddy bear, which Thomas found the next morning when he woke to find the bear's head ripped off on his lap, with the stuffing scattered all over the floor with Bobby next to him, as if asleep. Bobby must be responsible, concluded Thomas. After that, he lost interest in Bobby and kept in a locked cabinet as he no longer acted like a playmate. His parents would have not performed such a cruel act towards his son's favourite childhood bear, as he always slept with before Bobby, but once again, the bear was his favourite, and his mum replaced the stuffing and sewed the head back on. The head was a little crooked than before, with noticeable black stitches circling its neck, but Thomas was happy with it. Was there something secret about these robots? Is there something secret behind them? Thought most people. Not only did they act really suspicious, but didn't need to be winded up by the key to operate. They never seemed to tie down and stop moving. They were constantly on the go, and some called them the ADHD robot as a nickname that seemed to get more popular as commonly called that. Whenever the machine is running and came on, the robots would copy the identical features to themselves on the ad by starting off marching in a line, moving its arms up and down slowly with its legs. The people who own two or more would say they get jealous of the other, trying to take the owner's credit all for themselves, and trying to destroy each other and fighting sometimes. It was a bit awkward for them to battle each other, as most of their limbs were almost locked. After a few weeks, as most expected, the odd behaviours once again turned savage. They were back to their old selves and would torment children even if they did nothing wrong or accidentally bumped them, and swear and hit and kick them. Most of them stalked their owners if they are not there to accompany them, and would sneak into their backpacks or transport they went on. Most of them started ramming on this strange gibberish for days, driving their owners to complete insanity if they didn't dispose of them anywhere, and if they did, the robots would come back to them no matter how far they travelled. It could even take months, but they would eventually come back to the owners and were almost invincible, as destroying the bots with water or blunt objects would do them no harm but piss them off even more. A couple murder cases have been informed with the news about a few Mr Machine stabbing the owners to death, even suffocating or strangling some children in their sleep. After this, people knew it was time to get rid of them for good, and knew what dark is beyond these animatronics. It was a battle with all owners. Some got rid of the robots by locking them in a box, sending them as a parcel shipped out of the country in a strong wooden box so wouldn't break through it. The ones that were shipped out found new victims to play with, acting kind at first, so it would take them, and some countries didn't know about them yet. Some of the robots hid and ambushed their owners, either murdering them or knocking them unconscious, trying to tie them with tape. Even though it took some time because the arms were quite stiff, but these new versions had a little more joints on arms than the old first, so could do so and normally hid or locked the taped up bodies in a cupboard or room as revengeful justice, most people would say, as they did so to the robots after acting all nasty. Bobby managed to escape being aggressive when out of the cupboard he was locked into. He told Thomas what he promised, to turn him into one of their own, as he whispered to him when he was locked into the cupboard by trying to brainwash the boy. He struck Bobby with a hammer, but Bobby ran away from the house, stalking them at night, once again, while breaking into the room, then again left the house and never returned. The next day, Thomas' parents found him after not coming out of bed in a paralyzed position with eyes slightly open. Then he finally got up and said to his parents, "I am one of them. No more harm will come to anyone who owns us anymore. All owners should become then, but no parents or disowners, but must not interrupt." Then he grabbed scissors from his desk, stabbing his parents in the neck dead. This was happening to everyone who owned the robots, that they will be manipulating into thinking that they were Mr. Machine's robots and murdering anyone who's in a family hold who didn't own them. The population was getting outnumbered by these drones and how they manipulated most kids who kept them. Many areas where the robots were drilling became abandoned as the people retreated. After time of battling for survival, all the robots were eventually switched off to power, and the remaining children, brainwashed, were slowly recovering their minds again from the robots believing manipulation, while the ones that never recovered for any mental treatment were left locked away in a mental asylum. They still said those terrifying words, how they were part of those Mr. Machine bots, and they will kill anyone who isn't a Mr. Machine owner, as the world's supposed to belong to the minds of Mr. Machine. All the robots were taken away and never owned by anyone again. Most were melted down and turned into tin can or part of a car. No one ever found out what lied behind these animatronics and probably never will. Many people still scratch their heads wondering how a toy designed for children acted as if they had a mind, and why it started programming so oddly. Most of all, why and how they were trying to conquer the world, using those owners, manipulating their mind into becoming one of them. People wonder what Glass did to them, and how he did it when inventing them, and also wondered how Jack too knew how to make them the way Glass did. They wanted to know why they wanted these robots to do what they did, wondering if they used to control people themselves. Were they sharing something together they kept to themselves? At the end, it just lies behind a secret hidden from society, and now only one man on this earth knows about. Time has passed since then, but I have just one more thing to say. I am one of them. No more harm will come to anyone who owns us anymore. All owners should become them, but no parents or disowners can but must not interrupt. We will never give up until someday we would be the ones to rule.